Okay, so let's jump right in. We're living in a world where AI is just exploding in capability. But as it gets smarter and more powerful, this really critical question comes up. How do we make sure it's actually working for us, with our permission and under our control? Well, today we're going to dig into one proposed answer, a system called LifeStack, which is presented as nothing less than a digital constitution for this new age of AI.
And this right here, this is the heart of the matter. AI isn't just our helpful sidekick anymore, suggesting a faster route or summarizing an article. No, now it's starting to take action on its own, executing stock trades, booking appointments, making decisions that have real-world consequences. That leap from suggesting to doing, well, it changes everything.
That simple question really exposes a massive hole in how we've built AI so far. I mean, when an AI can act on its own, when it has its own memory and its own goals, the lines of who's in charge can get incredibly blurry fast. So in this explainer, we're going to break down this exact problem and the LifeStack architecture that's being proposed to solve it.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack this really sneaky problem called authority drift. Then we'll look at LifeStack as the proposed solution, and we'll dig into its three main parts. And finally, we'll zoom out and look at the huge vision behind all this, which is all about individual sovereignty in an AI-driven future.
All right, so what is this big problem we're talking about? The folks behind LifeStack have a name for it, authority drift. And it's this subtle, kind of quiet, but super powerful shift that happens when an AI's predictions and little nudges start to steer our choices until it's basically making decisions for us. This slide just nails the shift perfectly. On the left, that's the old way of thinking. AI is a tool, like a calculator. You put something in, you get something out. You are in control. But on the right, that's the new reality. This new breed of AI has memory, it adapts, it takes the first step. It's not just a tool anymore. It's an actor on the stage with us.
And this definition really gets to the danger. Authority drift isn't some dramatic, hostile takeover. It's quiet. It's gradual. It's control slowly migrating away from you. The AI's helpful suggestions just become the default choices, and before you even realize it, your own ability to choose has been worn down, without you ever explicitly agreeing to it.
And this drift is even possible because, frankly, current AI is built on a shaky foundation. Today's AI agents can be copied. Their so-called consent rules can just be ignored. There's no unforgeable signature tying an action back to a specific AI. To put it simply, the rules of governance just aren't built in from the start. So, if the foundation is broken, how do you fix it? Well, the solution being proposed here isn't just another policy paper or some ethics checklist. It's a whole new foundation, a new architecture called LifeStack. It's a governance by design approach that basically embeds the rules right into the AI's core, like its digital DNA. Now, the magic words here are mathematical invariants. What that means is that things like your identity and your consent, they aren't just suggestions written in a terms of service document. They are unbreakable mathematical facts baked into the system. The whole point is to check if an action is allowed before it ever happens, not just log it after the fact. The whole architecture really stands on three pillars, and each one has a great analogy. First, you've got codons, which are like the genes that define what the AI is allowed to do and not do. Second, there's a post-quantum kernel, which gives the AI a unique, unforgeable identity, kind of like its soul. And third, a coherence field acts like a stabilizer to make sure that identity doesn't warp or change over time. Okay, so we have the rules, the signature, and the stabilizer. Let's dive a little deeper and see how these three pillars actually work together to create a system you can trust. This table lays it all out beautifully. You've got the codons acting as that genetic code for behavior. Then the kernel gives it that unforgeable identity, one that's secure even against future quantum computers. And finally, you see that cool symbol phi. That represents the coherence field, which uses the math of the golden ratio to create a kind of true north, a constant that keeps the AI's identity stable. So you see, it's a three-part system: rules, identity, and stability. So let's make this feel real. Imagine a kid, Maya, is using an app for school. That app suddenly asks for way more data than it actually needs, like access to all her photos. A normal AI assistant might just say, okay, but an AI with LifeStack built in, its codons, its internal rules, would immediately flag that as a boundary violation, block the request, and go to a parent for explicit voice-verified consent. The rules just work, automatically. And it all boils down to this one core principle, which is just brilliantly illustrated here: admissibility before execution.
An action gets proposed, but before anything can happen, it has to pass through these gates that check. Does it have authority? Do we have consent? What's the risk? And only if it passes every single one of those checks is the action allowed. If not, it's refused. Simple as that. And this might be the most powerful idea in the whole system. Think about it. In almost every system we use, a refusal is an error, a failure. But in LifeStack, if the conditions for a safe, consensual action are not met, then saying no is the correct outcome. It's a success. The system is designed to fail safely, to say no by default. Okay, so we've gotten a little technical, we've seen how it works under the hood, but what's the big picture here? This isn't just about building a safer AI. It's about fundamentally changing the power dynamic between us, our AI agents, and the giant companies that create them. The ultimate goal is nothing less than digital sovereignty. The vision for LifeStack is to create a layer that you control. The whole design is meant to put the power to give, deny, and take back consent firmly in your hands. It's about giving you true ownership in a digital world that, for a long time, has just treated your data as a resource to be harvested. Now, a totally fair question is why wouldn't the big AI companies just build this themselves? And the argument here is that they really can't. For one, their business models often rely on collecting massive amounts of data, which is a direct conflict of interest. Plus, for regulators and for the public to trust them, they're going to need a neutral third-party system for governance. They can't just grade their own homework. And since the big labs probably won't build it, this can't just be an idea on paper. The creators have a clear business plan for a neutral company to do it. This chart shows how a potential $5 million in funding would get used, with a whopping 40% going straight into engineering the product. It's a real plan to get this built. And they're projecting some serious commercial growth too, aiming for almost $10 million in annual recurring revenue by the 5th year. What this really shows is a strong belief that this kind of governance isn't just an ethical nice-to-have, it's a commercially vital, absolutely essential piece of the entire future AI market. And the final argument they make really raises the stakes. It says that these core pieces of LifeStack, things like verifiable consent, stable identity, and checking actions before they happen, they aren't just good ideas. They are absolute, non-negotiable requirements before we can even think about safely deploying true artificial general intelligence. Period. And that leaves us with this final, really powerful question. The argument is that this kind of governance layer is coming one way or another. It's inevitable. So the only real question left is, who's going to build it? And will their incentives be aligned with us, the users, or with the massive platforms? It really makes you think about what kind of digital world we want to create.